let's have a look at how to work Tilde Brioche in the Nukumori Cardigan. This is how Tilde Brioche looks like traditionally, and I've done a tutorial on this one already. The reason why I'm going into this again is that for Nukumori we are using the wrong side of the pattern stitch as our outside of the cardigan, because the texture is just so nice and it builds a beautiful contrast to the brioche rib and the honeycomb that you're working with. I've modified the pattern stitch a little bit and I'm going to show you how to work that. Traditionally, you are working these in-between columns for the right side of the pattern, so you're always working brioche knit, brioche purl, brioche knit, brioche purl, and then on the next row you work the opposite stitch, as I've explained in the previous tutorial. As we are having the wrong side as our public side of the garment, you would normally work these rows as brioche purl, but I know that a lot of knitters just don't like working purl stitches throughout the whole row, and this garment is oversized. It's got 17 inches of positive ease, so you have a lot of stitches on your needle that you would have to purl. So I switched it up and I'll have you work the brioche knit, brioche purl sequence on this side, and then on the wrong side of the garment you're working brioche knit stitches instead of the brioche purl. The pattern looks the same, it's just a different way to work it up. Let's get into the stitches. After you've finished your twisted rib, we are starting to set up on the wrong side of the pattern. We work the savage stitch and then knit one, slip one with a yarn over, knit one, slip one, yarn over, all the way through. Just a short refresher on the Tilde Brioche pattern and brioche stitches in general while I'm getting through my setup row. You have a 4-row repeat in this pattern, and the rows are named row 1 right side, row 1 wrong side, row 2 right side, and row 2 wrong side. The reason for that is that you only work half of the stitches per pass, so you need 2 passes to finish one row. So you've got row 1 right side, and then on the wrong side you work the second half of the stitches to finish that. So that's our setup row, and we are ready to start on row 1 right side. Again, we start with the savage stitch and then slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche purl. That is our pattern stitch repeat. Slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche purl. Now, depending on what size you're working in the cardigan, you might find that you don't have a full repeat when you finish your stitches. It's just important that you have the 2-stitch section of slip one yarn over and the brioche stitch, but the overall sequence is brioche knit, brioche purl. It's quite easy to get into that. Row 1 wrong side, work the selvage stitch, and then it's brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, all the way through. So this is how it's going to show up on the right side of your fabric in the cardigan. Again, this is to make this easier to you to get through your stitches, because most of us like to just knit rather than purl stitches, and it doesn't make a difference if it's a classic purl stitch or a brioche purl stitch. It's just uncomfortable for lots of knitters to do that throughout the whole row, and it might even affect your gauge. So that's the reason why I've changed the pattern sequence. So that's the first 2 rows finished, or rather row 1 of the pattern, and we are starting with row 2 right side, so the 3rd row in the pattern repeat. Again, we start with a slip-on yarn over. Since previously we worked a brioche knit, we are working a brioche purl now. Slip one yarn over, previously brioche purl, we work a brioche knit stitch. This makes the pattern pretty easy to follow because as you're always knitting the same half of the stitches on this side of the pattern, you can always check. Previously I've had a knit stitch, so this repeat of the row it needs to be a purl stitch, or the other way around, it was a purl stitch, this time it is a knit stitch. So it's slip one yarn over, brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. And we are ready for the last row of our repeat. That's row 2, wrong side. Work your selvage stitch, and then we are back to brioche knit. Oops, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, slip one yarn over, all the way through. So what in the original tutorial for Tilde Brioche was your brioche purl stitches all the way through, we've just turned that on its head and it's the brioche knit stitches, because this is the wrong side of your work in this particular garment. Make sure not to drop your yarn overs. And there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and knit a couple of more rows because as you can see, this is our wrong side. Our right side, we have the first couple of bumps from that pattern already, but I'm going to go ahead and work a bit further to show it to you. I finished 3 repeats of the complete pattern and it is nicely established already. As you can see, this is our right side of the cardigan and the wrong side of the cardigan. Now, what do we do to check our gauge when you did your swatch before you start working? On this side, on the right side of the cardigan, it's a bit muddly. The stitch count is still okay-ish to do, but the row count is a bit difficult. So we are just going to do that on the wrong side of our fabric, because there we have our clear brioche columns and the rib is much more pronounced to count those. For the row gauge, you just count the little V's that you have in the knit column, and that will tell you how many rows you have on 4 inches, and then obviously the same for the rib for your stitch count. It's basically the same thing that you would do with brioche rib in the standard brioche knitting. That is all. So I hope you're all set up to get started on your Nukumori cardigan, and I'm going to link the other pattern stitches below, the tutorials for those, and of course the pattern itself.